Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel here on YouTube, and we're back to talk about Australian Survivor. I know it's been a minute since we've spoken about Australian Survivor, but some big news dropped on the Inside Survivor channel or their webpage this week, in which Inside Survivor claims that Australian Survivor will be bringing back one of those themed seasons that is extremely popular global. So let's talk about it. Okay, so as you can see here, Australian Survivor is planning a Heroes versus Villains season. That is right. So we've been asking, a lot of the big fans have been asking for a long, long time, when will Survivor US do Heroes versus Villains 2? In fact, I had Russell Muscle TV on the channel not that long ago, and we spoke about some of the themes that we'd like to see again, and Heroes versus Villains was one of those themes that was mentioned. We spoke about why it potentially has not happened yet, and I think a big thing when it comes to Heroes versus Villains is the fact that it was such a big season the first time that it showed. You know, like we had massive characters like Colby Donaldson coming back, Jerry Manthe, coming back, Parvati, we had Boston Rob, we had Sandra, we had massive characters on both sides. And I know I'm missing out a whole bunch of them that came back, people that we haven't seen play the game for 20 years. And these were legitimate heroes or villains. You either hated them or you loved them in the franchise, and it was a season worthy of the title Heroes versus Villains. So when I see that Australian Survivor wants to bring Heroes versus Villains out to its franchise and they want to do a season like this, I'm extremely worried for Australian Survivor, because I feel like, especially when it comes to us global Survivor fans that have seen Heroes versus Villains, we've got high expectations of what we want to see about a season such as that. So let's read about what are they going to do with this Heroes versus Villains season. Surely they're bringing back returnee players, right? I mean, who cares about the fact that 2 or 3 seasons ago they had an All-Stars? Just bring back 3-time players, because you would have to bring back a full returnee cast, surely, for a Heroes versus Villains season. But let's see what Australian Survivor is doing here. So, according to Inside Survivor sources, Season 8 is expected to begin filming in August, somewhere in the Pacific. So it's great. We're going to see a season that is actually going to take place in the Pacific, not in the Australian outback. I mean, I've liked seeing the Australian outback as a place where the last 2 seasons took place, but definitely I like the ocean, the beach type of backdrop a lot more than what I do the Australian outback. And that's just me. I don't want to see people playing in their own country the whole time. So I want to see that variety. So happy to see that they're going back to the Pacific. So we will see 12 former Australian Survivor castaways mixing it up with 12 new players. Why? Why 12 new players? Why are we calling this Heroes versus Villains? Isn't this fans versus favorites? But oh, wait. Obviously, Australian Survivor is not going to go get fans, right? I mean, that is just not what they're into. They like to go and get people who are already celebrities, who are already well known within the country, and they want to bring them in so that they can bring their following in to watch the show. So understand the logic behind it, because it's like, oh, we need to get celebrities basically to come and play the season so that there will be eyeballs on the show, and then we bring 12 of our favorite former players to play against them. So obviously they can't make it fans versus favorites, because that 12 new players might have 2 people in there who actually knows what Survivor is about. Each of the 2 tribes will consist of 6 returnees and 6 newbies, divided by their heroic or villainous qualities. So here's my question to you. Obviously, there's been some great characters that have played the game over the years. We've always said, like, if a Heroes versus Villains season ever happened in Australia, you'd want to see some of the villainous players, like potentially a David Gannat come back. You'd potentially want to see like a George come back and play in a season such as that. You now have Sam Gash, who's probably become the biggest villain within Australian Survivor. Will Sam Gash come back for Heroes versus Villains? I highly doubt it. I just don't think she's in the mental space after last season to come back and play a back-to-back season. I think she wants to spend time with her family, and she probably won't come back for many years to come in the future. So opportunity missed to bring back the biggest name when it comes to, and I put in air quotations, villainous players in Australian Survivor right now. So this isn't the first time that Australian Survivor has adopted a popular theme from the US counterpart. The show has previously done its own version of Brains versus Brawn. It also did Blood versus Water, which featured Survivor legend Sandra Diaz-Twine playing with her daughter Nina Twine. So I feel like 3rd season in a row, we're just going to continue to recycle the Survivor US themes here. We've done Brains versus Brawn. We've done Blood versus Water. We can't do fans versus favorites because we're not going to have fans of the show on this newbie tribe, or the newbies probably won't know the show. So let's just jump the gun and do a heroes versus villains season half and half. So I don't know how I feel about it. I'm a bit low on it, but you guys let me know in the comments if you're excited to see this season. I'm very worried, and I know I'm being negative before the show even airs, but I've been concerned about Australian Survivor in the direction that it's gone into recently with the edit and all the twists, and just there's a certain element I feel like almost of laziness happening at the moment in Australian Survivor. And I know I'm being very negative here when it comes to it, but they're throwing twists at it, they're throwing themes at it, they're doing all this, I don't know, smoke and mirrors, trickery to get people excited about the show, where I would have loved to have seen just a good, normal season, this next one, to be honest. Just bring back a whole bunch of returnees for heroes versus villains, or just do 1 or 2 more newbie seasons before you bring in a theme or a season as big as heroes versus villains. The last 2 seasons of Australian Survivor were filmed domestically in Queensland due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, Inside Survivor understands that the upcoming season will return to an international filming location somewhere in the Pacific. There are currently no word which 12 former castaways will be returning in this upcoming season. So yeah, there we have it. Australian Survivor doing a Heroes versus Villains season. How do you guys feel about it? I am very 50-50. Probably leaning towards not so happy about the fact that we're seeing heroes versus villains in this specific format. I would much rather see returning players come back and prove themselves, because we've got some sort of acknowledgement of who they are. We know that Luke Toki is the people's champion. He's the hero that's going to come back and play in the Heroes tribe, even though he's got villainous ways about how he does things. He's still a hero, because otherwise, how would he be the people's champion? You've got someone like a Brooke Jowett who could come back and be that hero, or a Haley who's like the strong winner, female dominant character that can come back and really carry the Heroes tribe. And then you can go up against George, who was like really villainous. You can go up against the Benji, who didn't really care who he cut. There's so much excitement that comes with seeing returning players play a heroes versus villains season. Now we've got to look at completely new people. Like, maybe this guy's going to be a previous NRL rugby league fan coming in, and he was known for punching people on the field, so he's a villain, or some controversies, like there was that cricket captain that played for Australia a while ago, and he used sandpaper to sand the ball that he was bowling, and then that put an extra swing on the ball, and he got suspended for basically cheating in a game. He might come back and be like a villain on this season, but for most of us general fans that are, I think, global, and the show's not being made for us, we won't know what the hell's going on. Like, why is this player a villain? Why is this player a hero? Maybe the public will know in Australia. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're saying, well, what would the casual fans enjoy? Maybe they'll enjoy this season. And very well, the casual fans could still be very happy, because when you look at the comments out there and how people are perceiving Australian Survivor, I think it's doing extremely well in that massive casual fan bracket, which is what they need to hit to continue to get the numbers. But for me, as a fan of the show, as a fan of the franchise, I will still watch Australian Survivor. There's no way you're going to see me not watch it. There's no way you're not going to see me talk about it. I will be excited to see which 12 players will come back and play this show, but I can't hide the fact that I'm a little bit disappointed that we won't have a full returnee season on Heroes versus Villains. So I saw this news drop this week. I had to address it on the channel and do a very quick and short video about it. Guys, let me know in the comments, how are you feeling about the Heroes versus Villains season that is going to take place? Would you have rather seen a full returnee Heroes versus Villains season? Would you rather have seen a fans versus favorite season? How do you feel? And especially if you're over in Australia, I'm really keen to know, do you think that Australian Survivor is going in the right direction with this? Do you think that they should have done this season in the way that they're doing it? Or are you, similar to myself, not so excited about it, because this is going to be a very, very tough one to follow up on after Heroes vs. Villains Season 20 in the US, which was one of the biggest seasons for a reason, because we had all those returnee players, because we knew all the players that were coming back. We knew that they were a hero or a villain, for instance. I know I'm being negative before we even see the cast, before we even know who the newbies are, but I'm feeling a bit flat about it, to be honest. I would have even enjoyed if they brought the international concept in, bring some international stars from South Africa over, probably a lot of them are playing in this next Return of the Outcasts, and they couldn't do it in such quick succession. But I'd rather see Survivor players that have played the game before, like this USA versus Australian crossover with USA heroes and villains coming in as well. But in any case, that's it from me, guys. Put a like on this video. We're getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, and thank you so much for everybody that has subscribed in recent times. So much content coming in the future. Look out for Survivor South Africa Return of the Outcasts content. Look out for the challenge content. We're wrapping up All Stars challenge content right now, and then after that we're going to be going into the Challenge USA. But let me know what you guys think of this theme that is currently being rumored. Are you for it or not? Talk to you guys later.